Today on RC-TNT I have a cautionary tale for you. Let me introduce the 1/16 scale Traxxas Slash, which has been selling for over a decade, and it's the worst RC car I've ever owned. And unfortunately, I made the mistake of buying two at the same time. Oh man, let me tell you a story. This was some years ago now. This was 2014 or so, I think. We went away for Christmas and we got back. And waiting on our deck, where the delivery had left it, was a big box from a hobby shop with two of these guys. Now, they're powered by the XL 2.5 from Traxxas. This is a waterproof nickel metal hydride and LiPo capable ESC, allegedly. I'm holding a new one here, it looks new. They sent me the box. Now, I didn't pay for this because they sent it to me under warranty. It says on the specs, even on the website, I checked before I made this video, that the XL5 is 2S capable, and I stuck this little 2200 milliamp hour 2S battery in my Slash. It should have been fine. I didn't stick two of them in, and this thing can actually take two batteries. It comes with one, but there's one of these you can fit in each side. They've got a compartment in each side. I just stuck one in because I've got a bunch of LiPos, and LiPos do perform better than nickel metal hydride, and I just wanted to have fun with my boy. We've got plenty of space here to drive. If you've seen my recent video of short course versus monster truck versus buggy, you've seen all the different terrain that we can drive our fast stuff on here at my little property. So this plus this should have been a recipe for a good time. Both of them, not just one, both of them caught on fire. I'm not making that up for this video. They both caught on fire. Now, I was still putting them together at the time. We'd barely used them. They're allergic to 2S, at least 2200. Traxxas sells a 2200 2S for their XL5. You can find all this on the website. I checked before I made this video. They still sell them. I don't know what to say, except maybe I got a bad batch. They sent me a pair of them. I've only got one here, but they're both up there in the drawer. They sent me two of them under warranty. Servos failed pretty quick, and the center shaft failed too. I've replaced a lot on mine. My boy I've kept fairly stock standard, although I've replaced the ESC with something a bit nicer. Let me introduce you to the Slash, the 1/16 Slash, if you're not familiar. They're not easy to open. All right. This is a dusty example, and it's got spaghetti on it at the moment. I need to reattach. This is an old actual ESC. At the time when I did this, I was just trying to slap anything in. The failures we've had in these things, apart from the ESCs, we had a servo, the servos went in both of them, and the shafts went in both of them. He's running plastic shafts in his one, but they're from mine, which are now running metal shafts. The tires don't grip well, they're a hard compound, and traction is just really hard to get, so they skitter about everywhere. And with a gigantic 550 motor on top, they flip all the time. It drives me bananas. I've kept this thing fairly stock. The shocks leak. They don't work particularly well, and the wheels rub on the body. It's not a hugely high speed on it. It's 20 something miles an hour. We've still managed to have fun with these things. We've taken them out and about and driven them a bit, and we've had our fun. That's why they look a bit worn. But they tend to be more frustrating than fun. Little tiny wheels, not a lot of clearance, and they just flip all the time. You can make them better, and I'll show you what I did. There are a few things you can do that'll make the 1/16 Slash better. For a start, bigger wheels. They're similar in size still, but they're slightly bigger, and you can gear it down appropriately to deal with that size. They also have foams in them. They're a bit more plush, and because they're bigger, they'll handle the bumps better. I've also fitted RPM arms, which were needed because I was breaking the other ones, and we weren't abusing them. I'm telling you we weren't, but we still managed to break stuff. I've got a sway bar kit. I'm pretty sure I've installed it in this. I've got a big old bag of spares here. We've got suspension tuning. There are little sway bars in here. You can buy a kit for them. Suspension upgrades, which I've fitted to mine already. There are A-arms in here, different gears, full bearings, metal shafts. These are still left over for when I need to fix my boy's one. I drove mine more than he drove his, so mine wore out quicker. I also fitted a really cheap, just a Ghoul RC, because it didn't deserve anything better. I fitted a Ghoul RC 3500 kV brushless system. This was a really cheap system. We just said in our other video in the Bandit, I fitted a 3100 kV cheap brushless system. It was moderately cheap. This was really cheap. It doesn't have the same punch that many brushless systems have, but it's still a lot better and a lot lighter weight than the brushed system, so that was a plus. I have a sway bar kit, so the sway bar kit fits right in the front there. You can see the little bar across there, and I've got it in the rear as well. And when it's adjusted and working, see how it picks up both sides? You can adjust the tension and all. The idea is it helps it stay low, and this really helped. I did this with my Stampede years ago as well. It helped it to not roll as much. This is a much more enjoyable car to drive, but I had to spend so much more money on it to make it good. Sway bar, brushless system, and bigger wheels, better servo, and then we had to throw the lipos in because the nickel metal hard drives aren't great. Tougher shafts, metal center shafts. It's half of a new car. In its stock form, I'll stand by what I said, this is the worst car I've ever bought. After you drop almost its value again in parts, it's a lot better. But once you start spending that kind of money, quite honestly, you can get the cheaper Armour range, or even Traxxas's better cheap stuff. This is the same price as the 2-wheel drive 110 scale Slash. Buy the Slash, the 110. Don't buy the 4-wheel drive 116. It's a trap, don't do it. All of this being said, I'm talking to you from a very privileged place where I've got a lot of different cars here, and I'm absolutely not complaining. I'm just explaining to you my experience. Save your money, buy the 110 scale Slash if you want a Traxxas Slash. I really don't think this is worth it. Now, I've driven and played with the 116e Revo, which I don't know that you can still get. That was great. But all of this talking about the car that I've improved, but just, I felt a bit raw over it for a while. It was not cheap, $200 US new, so 400 US bucks in these things before you throw the money in it to make it better. Same money as the 110 Slash. I really wish I'd bought 2 of them instead. We would have had a lot more fun with them, I'm quite sure, because these were so frustrating. All of this talk about short course trucks though has got me wondering, hey Rlaarlo, if you're listening, consider sticking a short course body and making a few mods with some of your new XD KJ stuff, or the AMX12, something like that. I'd love to see a Rlaarlo short course truck. That would be something really cool, because you guys are good with sticking in sway bars already, eh? And a nice little brushless system with a smaller motor like the one in your other system. Just a thought, think about it. That thing would sell, and I will review the pants off that thing. It'll be great, I rather expect, if the buggies are anything to go by. So as disappointing as this was, it can be made good. And look, if you've got a 116 Slash and you like it, don't let this video put you off. It's still a great car in the context of having to upgrade it. Once you've upgraded it, this thing is actually quite fun. Just keep in mind, it needs a little bit of love first. Let me show you what it's like to drive. We're going to use the same battery in both of them. I'll show you how the stock one performs first. I can confirm there are no sway bars on this thing. We have replaced the ESC, but that was a necessity. Everything else is bog stock. We're using Traxxas radios for both. So this is the stock experience. This is an aftermarket servo. It's the same, just a cheapie I've got on both of them. It was from Hobby King some years ago. And there it is in all its glory. And even just doing that, I can smell the motor. Yummy. All right, let's get this thing on. Now, I stand by this being the worst car I've ever owned, for the worst RC car I've ever owned, but it's not awful, and we are having a little bit of a laugh for YouTube's sake here. It does have some redeeming features. There's a concussion bar underneath, so it can actually take some big hits. And if these are one thing, they are mechanically durable, aside from their drive shafts and their suspension. No, okay, no, they really do suck. Let me show you what the, I was trying to give a feedback sandwich there and give some positive. Aside from catching on fire and the shaft snapping unreasonably soon without abuse, much less abuse than what you're going to see today, these are, they're not terrible, but they're just, they need some updated design from Traxxas or something. They're just, I feel a bit raw that they're still selling them for $200 US. You look on the Traxxas website, I checked, they're the same price as the 2-wheel drive 110 scale Slash. You're paying more for the 4-wheel drive system, I guess, but Anyway, here's the car on flat ground, and I'm not going to drive badly. I'm going to do my best. Now, we kept it pretty straight and it didn't roll, which is unusual. I find traction is an issue, and little gravel, we're not driving on gravel here, but little gravel tends to get stuck in the drive shafts, and so you'll get a wheel that locks up every so often. They're a tumbly wumbly car. I'm trying my hardest not to roll it here. All right, how's it jump? Yay, it didn't land upside down. On the right terrain, these can be all right, but they are a roly-poly handful. Let's see how it goes down here. I find it quite difficult to track straight with these tyres. The steering's not quite, there we go. Yeah, that's better. I'm keeping it kind of on half throttle here because it's impossible to keep it straight. You get the idea. Okay, well that was stock and brushed. Largely an unsatisfying drive. And that on its own is all right. Oh, they're really hard to get out. But when you combine that with the fact that we've had so many breakages over the years, over the weeks of initial ownership even. Ow. It went from unsatisfying to downright frustrating, and we ended up just not using them. Which was a shame because, you know, they're not cheap. Now that was stock. We now come to the better case scenario. If you've got one of these and you've made the effort to upgrade it to make it a bit nicer, better servo, improve the suspension, which is still leaky and not very good. It doesn't damp very well, but the whole cantilever setup isn't a big deal, but having the sway bars helps. We've made it 2S capable without being a fire hazard. It's possible we just had a bad batch because their site does say it's 2S capable. To have both of them go up, one of them before I'd even driven it. Okay, power's on. Ghoul RC 3500 kV brushless. In hindsight, I would have stuck a 2650 in or something like that. Here's what you can expect with better steering, better power system, better suspension, and the battery. Oh, and bigger wheels. Right, bigger wheels, better traction, faster system. Now, although it's rated at 3500 and it's brushless and it's fast, this little system is a cheapie. And so you can't just pin the throttle and have it do wonderful things. It also has quite a bit of drag brake on it, actually. That's the one saving grace of this car. It'll take a tumble. Oh dear. Yeah. Inappropriate terrain, my friends. So they're really not designed for backyard shenanigans like the 110 scale stuff is. This is more like driveway and appropriate sized dirt track, bike track, that kind of thing. I can't actually think of any place where this thing would be better than a two-wheel drive Slash though, or equivalent. Oh, okay, so it handles a lot better. Big tyres, if nothing else, make a huge difference. I reckon those sway bars are really helping too. It's keeping the wheels down when the other one was just lifting a wheel constantly. Yeah. They still tumble a bunch, but this is about as good as the Slash gets. The little 116. Brushless on 2S, and the bigger wheels and sway bars. Faster steering servo certainly helps as well. Oh no, we're upside down. You didn't miss much, it just tumbled a bunch. And that is the story of the least satisfying car I've ever bought. And I bought 2 of them. If you're in the market for one of these, and you got the money for it, buy the 2-wheel drive 110 scale Slash. You will have a better time. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. This is as nice as they get now. Bigger wheels, better steering, better suspension, better power system. And it's got reasonable speed on it, but it doesn't have the stability to match. And that is the end of my 116 scale Slash story. I'm not really sure what to do with these. They're just sitting on a shelf. I mean, I'm grateful for the time when my boy and I got out a few times with them. We had fun with each other. That was actually the main thing. These were still frustrating to drive, but it got us outside at least, and it really helps me appreciate how good the bigger scale stuff is. Check out my 110 scale best backyard basher comparison. You can see that here. That looks at a buggy, a short course truck, the bigger version of this, and a monster truck to find what's the most suitable car for just backyard general fun. And I think you'll get something out of that if you haven't seen it. Throw me a like if you enjoyed my tale of woe. I know it's first world problems, and it honestly is. I'm still happy to own this thing. It's just not going to get driven all that much these days. And I'll catch you next time on RC-TNT. Thank you for watching.